whole lot more than the $100 grand that is our goal here right now, because we'd like to develop a scholarship fund for some of these kids who just, the school district will not, refer them. You've got school districts that are broke. You've got parents that can't afford it, all this kind of stuff. And we've really stretched things a lot of ways, which is one of the reasons why we're low on cash. So please help. 603-786-2922. 603-786-2922. And with a $1,000 contribution, Louise and I will wine and dine here in Washington, D.C. Lunch or dinner, your choice. You can watch the TV show, you can watch the radio show, you can watch both. We'll spend the day with you. Okay, it's Veterans Day, in addition to being our wedding anniversary. And, in fact, if you'd like to give Louise and I a wedding anniversary gift, call the Hunter School and make a donation in our name, 603-786-2922. And I wanted to get your thoughts on veterans, on our veterans. Matt, in Springfield, Virginia. Hey, Matt, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom, and happy anniversary. How many does this make?
I think it is... I'm pretty sure we were married in 71, which makes it, 43?
You better get this right.
Yeah. Well, Louise and I were sitting in bed last night talking about it, trying to, do it on our fingers and stuff. Because it's like, there's always that 1 year that you don't count this the first year, so that... Anyway, I'm not sure. In that neighborhood.
Good enough.
We're going out to dinner tonight at a nice little Greek restaurant here in town. That's always been our special food thing. So, anyhow,
excellent.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I think you're looking at it from the wrong way. Republicans look at veterans at first as heroes, but when we come to pay and benefits, we're just more moochers and takers. I've heard many times from Republicans that, those veterans, they get overpaid and they get all those great commissary privileges and they're getting free food and free housing. We just become another noisy, angry federal employee minority to them.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And in fact, there's one Republican who is promoting a meme that some retired guy is making over $100 grand, which turns out not to be true. But double, triple tipping, all this stuff Fox News talking about.
It goes on, yes.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, Matt, I think you're absolutely right. It's sort of like unborn children. It's like, okay, once they're born, to hell with them. They don't need food stamps, they don't need education, they don't need housing support. The mom doesn't need parenting training. We just want to make sure that the pregnant mother, and there was a great piece in the New York Times a couple days ago about how many hundreds of women around the United States have been arrested, criminalized for simply being pregnant. And I'm not even talking about abortion. And it's just, the hypocrisy is mind-boggling. Matt, so our veterans, yeah, as long as they're out, getting shot at, hey, rah, rah, rah. But when they come back and they say, I'm missing a leg and an arm and having a tough time, the Republican position is tough luck. Matt, thank you for the call. Gary in Coraopolis, Pennsylvania. Hey, Gary, got a quick one? We just have a minute.
Long time, Mr. Hartman.
Hey, Gary. Nice to hear your voice again.
Thank you. Greed has no heart. I'm going to say it. Greed has no heart ever.
Right.
I think you agree wholeheartedly on this. It's the ongoing cancer in America.
Yeah.
And I haven't forgotten about George. I'm glad you brought George Bush into this. I haven't forgot about George Bush. Remember Lon Chaney? He's scary, wasn't he?
Yeah.
George, here's the record. I hope Mr. Bush is listening. He probably isn't. But in case you are, Mr. President, all due respect, you and Cheney drove America into the ditch and left the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah, they did. And they also left over 4,000 dead Americans and over 30,000 wounded Americans and perhaps over 100,000 severely wounded veterans when you include psychological PTSD, things like that, and several 100,000 dead Iraqis and Afghans and 5 or 6 or 7 million displaced people. This is a crime. Thank you, Greg.
You're listening to the Tom Hartman Program. Visit TomHartman.com for audio and video archives.
I'm with Vince Bugliosi, who has a movie out now and a book, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder. But it's Veterans Day. Should we be apologizing to our veterans or thanking them?
history. Take the Corps of Discovery expedition, led by Captain Meriwether Lewis and Second Lieutenant William Clark.
Captain, if we just follow the Marias River northwest...
Lieutenant Clark and I both agree. Our best bet is to proceed to the southwest in order to find the main channel.
Loyalty and duty. While some in the group disagreed at times with their route, all followed the decisions of their leaders. Respect. The Corps encountered various tribes in their journeys and treated all with dignity. Selfless service. They endured for their country, no matter what hardships they met.
Obey, Grizzly!
Honor and integrity. The men chosen for this expedition were selected for their character, personal courage. The entire expedition was sent out into the unknown, with no knowledge of the adversities they'd encounter, or even if they'd return. Loyalty, duty, the core values of the United States Army. Honor, as relevant today as they've been throughout history.
This is NIH Health Matters. A prevention program called Strong African American Families has been developed to help rural 11-year-olds prevail over a gene linked to risky behavior.
We try to enhance parenting skills.
That's Dr. Gene Brody from the University of Georgia.
And we try to arm the adolescents with a set of skills and ideas about the future that
program. For more information, visit www.nih.gov. Health Matters is produced by the National Institutes of Health, part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Relax. Sit down. I insist. This thing you wish to do is quite disturbing to my constitution.
I didn't mean to upset you. I only thought that...
Please, I am the one talking, no? As I was saying, am I to understand this correctly in that you wish to partake in the consumption of alcoholic beverages and then operating a motor vehicle?
I figured it'd be okay to have a couple of beers.
No beers.
Okay, yeah, well, one shot.
No shots.
All right, how about...
Perhaps you're not hearing me. My associate will help.
Okay, could you please put me down now? Please.
Drinking any amount of alcohol and then driving is a bad idea.
It's a little clearer now, huh? Can you hear me now?
I got it now.
Hey.
Oh, we're almost home, honey. It's been a long day. I can sleep right now. I can't wait to get to bed.
Why are you passing that car? It's a solid line. You can't pass here.
All lines look alike at 80 miles an hour.
And by the way, the posted speed limit is 30, not 80. Where are your glasses?
I left them at home. I can see fine.
Then I suppose you can see those flashing red lights behind us.
Driving at night is more challenging than people think. Don't drive when you're tired. Driving at night. I hope we've shed some light on the subject.
Hey, Mom, it was a great idea to start a blog so we can keep in touch with each other. I'm taking off from Forward Operating Base Alpha and heading into the mountains to help.
I'll be back on Thursday. Love, Melissa. You're in our prayers always, and we're thinking of you. Let us know as soon as you get back.
Did you get some information on our enemy movements? I sure did. It's all over the internet.
Blogging or posting information about troop movements is dangerous. You never know who's dropping in on your conversation. Keep yourself one step ahead of the enemy.
Occupying the media 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Donald in Chicago. Hey, Donald, you're a veteran?
Yes, I am.
Your opinions on this?
Well, my opinions, I would say thank them. Don't apologize because the thing is those that have really been wounded, that might make them feel they'd like to probably feel for themselves that they did it for a patriotic reason. And I don't know how that would work on them. But the thing is what really gets me, Tom, is the fact that 58% of my fellow veterans voted Republican. I have a sister that works in a retirement home. A lot of them are World War II, Korean, and Vietnam veterans when the Republicans won, they were applauding, they were cheering. You know, maybe they should understand the list that you read and all the things that the Republicans denied for them. That should be put out, and it should be put out by the Democratic Party. Let these veterans know that this is where they stand. And as far as I'm concerned, if the veterans want to know how the Republicans feel about them, maybe they should listen to Michael Savage's little clip. Too bad you don't have that on, but they should play that every now and then if you do, and let them understand how the Republicans feel about it.
You mean where he's talking about the PTSD crybaby thing? Is that the clip you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And I am so livid because I got drafted in '66. And that was one of the biggest drafts there were. 58% of my fellow veterans voted Republican. That's a percentage point for every 1,000 GIs that left up on the wall. That's all that's left is them as their names. Right. And, you know, I'm sorry. They can call up and start screaming that about the way they feel. But much like all these other people didn't show up at the polls on the behalf of the Democratic Party that's working for them, well, you know, all I can say is you get what elections got consequences, and we should let them know right off the bat who is responsible for this.
Donald, here is, apropos of Michael Savage, here is Michael Savage's little rant about the whiny veterans.
Everyone has depression in their life. Everyone has sickness and sadness and disease and loss of relatives and loss of career. Everyone has depression in their life. But if the whole nation is told, boo-hoo-hoo, come and get a medication, come and get treatment, talk about mental illness, you know what you wind up with? You wind up with Obama in the White House and liars in every phase of the government. That's what you wind up with. It's a weak, sick nation. A weak, sick, broken nation. And you need men like me to save the country. You need men to stand up and say, stop crying like a baby over everything. Stand up already.
We don't need no stinking support for injured veterans. Donald, thank you for the call. The ultimate irony, I would say, is that right now I'm looking at the CNN screen and George W. Bush is on TV talking about his dad. 2 war criminals. 2 unnecessary wars fought largely for political purposes. 3 wars, really. Afghanistan and 2 Iraq wars. And today's Veterans Day. George W. Bush, responsible for the death of over 4,000 American soldiers and the maiming, dismembering, and wounding and injuring of well over 100,000 American soldiers, probably several 100,000 American soldiers, is being celebrated right now on CNN. Is there nothing more obscene than that on Veterans Day? Barbara in Bethesda, Maryland. Hey, Barbara.
Yes, Tom, very quick. I just made my point, except I was listening to NPR this morning, and they had a moving segment of interviewing parents, Gold Star parents, you know, made me cry, you know. But then an interview with George W. Bush promoting his book.
I know, that was the point at which I turned it off. I'm serious. I was like, you know, this is sick and twisted that NPR would put George W. Bush on Veterans Day. It's an insult to our veterans.
Thank you. Yeah. But that's all I wanted to say, and thank you for reaffirming it and allowing me to blow off steam.
My pleasure, Barbara. Thank you for calling. Ralph in Knoxville, Tennessee. Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Tom. I'm a veteran, Vietnam veteran, and George W. Bush disgusts me. I can't stand to watch him on TV because what they should do is send him to all these people, all these young men and women that he maimed, killed, and make him go to every grave.
He wouldn't even let us see the pictures of the returning dead soldiers. It took Barack Obama to change that policy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much he disrespected the troops. No, you may not see them.
But we talk about the Republicans. They do a good job of presenting themselves. They get by with lies all the time, and they talk about the liberal news media. There's no liberal news media. They own the media's lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah, no, about as close to it as you get in this show. You're absolutely right, and all they have to do, all Fox News and Sean Hannity have to do is just play some patriotic music, wave some flags, and people just kind of fall into line, and then they go out and advocate cutting benefits for veterans. It's astonishing. Ralph, thank you for the call. Randall in Oceanside, California. Hey, Randall.
Yeah, Tom, how you doing?
Good.
I just want to go over something with you that I've been telling my girlfriend for years, and that is that the Republicans can afford a lot of things. They can afford to send their children to college, so they want to raise the price for everybody else. They can afford Medicare, the Cadillac insurance programs, so they don't care if you all are out there without insurance. But they don't have the money to stand an army, and that's where they depend on the taxpayers. And if you talk to most servicemen, they're Republicans, because while they're in the service, they get treated very well by the Republican Party. But as soon as they get out of the service, the Republicans basically kick them to the curb.
Yeah.
I'd like to know your take on that.
No, I agree. That's the whole point I've been making here, is that, Republicans consistently fight any attempt to help out veterans, particularly wounded veterans, saying, oh, they're just crybabies. And Democrats have been working really, really hard to expand veterans benefits. I mean, the guy who's in charge of the Veterans Committee in the Senate is Bernie Sanders. Who's not a Democrat, but very, very progressive. It's like, Anyway, Randall, excellent point. Thank you very much for the call. This is the parallel I made to a couple of fertilized cells in a woman, and the whole right wing is out to protect those cells, right? But once that baby's born, screw them. Similarly, once you're in the military, they're with you. Once you're out of the military, forget it.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
This is NIH Health Matters. Sarcoidosis is an inflammatory disease that produces small grainy lumps called granulomas.
A granuloma is microscopic, but they get large, they get a cluster, and they are kind of a rounded density.
Dr. Herbert Reynolds at the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute explains that sarcoidosis usually starts in the lungs, skin, or lymph nodes. He says they may clear up on their own, but if they don't, they can cause problems, including shortness of breath and cough, or other symptoms like fever, fatigue, arthritis, and a red bumpy rash. For more information, visit www.nih.gov. Health Matters is produced by the National Institutes of Health, part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
As a young teenage boy, I didn't even know what autism was. How do you even spell that? A few years later, I heard that a friend's cousin's son had been diagnosed with autism. I still wasn't sure what that really meant.
When I went to college, my roommate's brother had autism. When I moved to the city for work, my best friend called me and told me his son had been diagnosed with autism. We were both in shock. I still remember the day I walked into the house and saw that look on my wife's face. I knew something was wrong. I'll never forget how I felt when she said, "Our son has autism."
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism. That's about a 30% increase in 2 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The world's most complete political talk radio lineup. Our Talk on AFM radio, where left and right collide.
Do you like listening to Eagle 810? Then download the AFN Pacific app for any smartphone or mobile device. Having the app just might win you free lunch. That's right, free lunch. Every Wednesday between 11 and noon at the Yokota Exchange Food Court, one lucky winner will get a free meal at their Exchange restaurant of choice. All you have to do is show us that you have the app on your smartphone or mobile device, and a free lunch could be yours. Download the AFN Pacific app today. It just might pay for your lunch.
Suicide prevention is a top priority in the Navy to ensure the safety and stability of its sailors. The Navy stresses the importance of intervention and response, has specific guidelines that all commands throughout the fleet follow to be better prepared and identify the warning signs of sailors at risk. Yokosuka is no different. Find out how you can help a shipmate who may potentially cause harm to themselves by asking your operator for Yokosuka Medical Clinic or online at facebook.com/USNH.
AP Radio News. I'm Tim McGuire. When President Obama meets today with Myanmar's president, he is expected to deliver a warning about Myanmar's efforts toward a freer and fairer society. Deputy White House National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes says the president is concerned that the effort has bogged down.
Parts of the reform effort have stalled. Parts have moved forward. In parts, we've even seen things move backward. So I think it's a mixed picture.
While the president may be out of the country, he hasn't stopped working on domestic issues such as immigration reform. Press Secretary Josh Earnest says Obama should be finalizing his plan to take executive action after meeting with Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson when he gets back to Washington.
The president met very recently, just within the last week, with Secretary Johnson to discuss the status of that. And I would anticipate that the president will receive some final recommendations from the secretary relatively soon.
Some Republicans on Capitol Hill are trying to block Obama's plan. They hope to use an upcoming must-pass spending bill to prevent the president from acting on his own. But GOP leaders appear cool to the effort, since it could lead to a confrontation that, if taken too far, could spark a government shutdown. Nearly half of the border with Mexico is patrolled by drones, a largely unnoticed shift to cover stretches where there are no agents, camera towers, ground sensors, or fences. Arizona rancher John Ladd says the drones are just another part of the invasion of his privacy.
I really don't like that. And part of the immigration issue is we live out in the country and we don't have any privacy because we either have illegals, dopers, or border patrol.
There have been some 10,000 drone flights, most of them in Texas. A 4.8 magnitude earthquake shook parts of Kansas and Oklahoma yesterday. Quake's epicenter near the town of Conway Springs, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Very little damage, no injuries. This is AP Radio News. Most of the names are the same, just a few of the jobs will change as the Republicans and Democrats pick their party leaders for the Congress that convenes in January. Jerry Bodlander tells us more.
Senators meet behind closed doors today, and with 11 and possibly 12 new senators, Republicans will soon be in control, and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's title will change.
I'll be elected Majority Leader of the Senate.
And Democrats will elect Harry Reid as Minority Leader. Speaker John Boehner and other House GOP leaders are unopposed, though there is a contest to head the Republican Policy Committee. House Democrats are also expected to stick with their current leadership team. Jerry Bodlander, Capitol Hill.
U2 frontman Bono's private plane lost a hatch as it was coming in for a landing in Berlin. But airport officials say the Irish singer was never in any danger. An airport spokesman says German authorities are now trying to figure out why the rear hatch fell off the plane. I'm Tim McGuire, AP Radio News.
This is the Wall Street Journal Report. I'm Jennifer Kishinka. Hasbro's in talks to buy DreamWorks Animation, a deal that would bring an animation studio under the fold of a major toy maker. A combination of the two companies could accelerate efforts for each to move beyond their core businesses. Hasbro recently launched its own film label, Allspark Pictures, with movies based on its toy brands. On Wall Street, futures indicating a moderately higher open after stocks closed mixed yesterday. The Dow Industrial slipped 2, the Nasdaq added 14. Cummins Catherwood of Benning and Scattergood says the market's been consolidating.
We're going through sort of a digestive period here because we've had such a strong market, and you sort of, zigzag for a while till you sort it out.
Honda says an exploding airbag in one of its cars killed a woman in Malaysia, bringing to 5 the number of deaths linked to a defect in parts made by embattled Japanese supplier Takata. The previous 4 cases all occurred in the U.S. This is the Wall Street Journal Report.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In baseball, for the third time in 4 years, Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw won the National League Cy Young Award. He was a unanimous selection. Indians pitcher Corey Kluber won the American League Cy Young Award. Free agent designated hitter Victor Martinez is re-signed with the Detroit Tigers. He agrees on a 4-year deal worth $68 million. In college football, the Florida State University Code of Conduct hearing involving quarterback and former Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston has been postponed until December the 1st at the request of Winston's attorney. And in the NFL, the St. Louis Rams are making a quarterback change, benching Austin Davis and starting Sean Hill against the Broncos. In the NBA, another win for the Rockets.
Howard will take Pekovic off the dribble, puts him into the spin cycle, rolls right, lays it up and in. The bigot off the dribble and laying it up and in for two. And Dwight's got a big smile on his face, and he should.
KMBE Rockets Radio on the call. That part of a 113-101 victory over the Timberwolves. Houston's now 7-1 on the season and tied with Memphis and Toronto.
With these people. I mean, they're too extreme and so forth, and he's going to have to do what he's got to do to get things done and his country in progress. That's exactly what I thought would happen. It's exactly how I thought it would happen, and it's exactly what I thought. He's caved to the Chi-Coms on global warming and climate change. He's going to do net neutrality and amnesty. And three things. Bam, bam, bam. Meanwhile, the Republicans, they don't know what hit them, and they really don't. It's apparent that they're not yet clear on what's hit them. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know I'm aware of that, as you know. And we'll get to all of that in due course. But there's something else first. It has been, this is Wednesday, it's been 3 days. It has been 3 days since it was discovered again that the architect of Obamacare, which happens to be the most tectonic shift in America and the way we govern ourselves, it has been 3 days since the architect of Obamacare was discovered to have said last year that they had to lie to the American people about this legislation, Obamacare, in order to get it passed, because the American people were too stupid to understand what was at stake. The legislation was so important. It was so fundamentally transformative. It changed this country forever. Going to change this country into something it was never founded to be. And to do that, the American people had to be lied to. 3 days has gone by, and not a syllable in the mainstream media. This story remains segregated. It remains relegated to talk radio and to Fox News on occasion. Obamacare is not just a fundamental change to our country. It is a transformative, forever altering, throw everything upside down change in the way this country was founded, the way this country was intended to operate. The fact that the primary architect has been out admitting that they lied every time they had to get this thing passed, that they couldn't dare let people know what was really in it because it wouldn't pass. They had to lie to the American people. The fact that this story is not the lead story and has not been the lead story at ABC, CBS, NBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Wall Street Journal, and all of the others. The fact that that story has yet to appear in any drive-by media outlet is one of the greatest examples of the challenge that we still face. It represents a great example of what still needs to be overcome. And I might add that aside from Senator Jeff Sessions, there hasn't been much reaction to this from Republican Party leadership. Now, before I make a great case on that, I need to, Mr. Snerdley, am I wrong? Have you seen Republican leaders react to the Gruber video? I know it's nothing new, the media being in the tank for Obama. Don't misunderstand. But the fact that this story is being hidden from what you would consider the low information voter or the mass of the American population, however you want to think of it, this underscores what is, in many people's view, I mean, we get plenty of fatalists out there who believe it's an impossible task. I mean, if the people of the country are not properly informed on things, you really can't blame them for inaction. Now, I know the election results sort of contradict this, but they really don't when you realize that 2/3 of Americans didn't vote. And I'm not going to make any more of that than is necessary. I'm not going to attach negatives to that. Don't misunderstand. The point here is that we're lucky that 1/3 of the population was informed sufficiently and motivated to vote and show up to give an indication that the country's not been lost here and that there is a desire to fight and save it. But I've been waiting. I have been waiting 3 days. Every day I have waited to see. I didn't expect to see it. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect Brian Williams to make a big deal of this. I didn't expect Charlie Rose to make a big deal of it. I didn't expect Tom Brokaw to be a guest anywhere, make a big deal of it. I didn't expect Scott Pelley to make a big deal of it. I didn't expect to see it in the front page, New York Times, Washington Post, and I didn't see it in any of those places because they're covering up. They are helping this regime in its massive effort to transform this country into something it was never intended to be. Here you have the architect of this disaster, the architect of the legislation that is responsible for the economic demise of this country, that is responsible for the negativism and the fatalism that has permeated this country, the legislation that is behind all of the disasters that are happening to this country. We architect flat out saying they had to lie. And he's joking about it with his fellow economics buddies. They had to flat out lie. They're giving themselves pats on the back. The American people are too stupid. And it doesn't make the news. I find this not surprising, but it certainly is noteworthy. And I have to, again, include the fact that I haven't seen the Republican leadership express any outrage over this at all. The outrage, the anger, the disbelief is contained in only one segment of our population. And that's us. In the old days, you know what they would call this? Smoking gun. There aren't any such things anymore. No such thing, I guess, as a smoke. And then on top of this, we've got Obama selling this country down the river while he's in China wearing a Mao jacket, chewing Nicorette. And then we've got the president selling the country out with amnesty. And then we've got the president saying he wants to regulate the internet as though it's the power and light company, as though it's just another utility. And we're not even finished with Wednesday yet. Now, by the way, I should let you know that there has been another discovery of Gruber saying again, another video. The American people are too stupid, that we had to lie. They had to lie. They couldn't reveal the truth. It was too important. The American people are a bunch of dunderheads. And it's not the media who have uncovered this. It's citizens. People who have lost their health care. People who have lost their insurance. Scouring the internet, trying to find out what is going on. They have been broadsided. Some of these people believed everything they were told in the media about Obamacare. It was going to be cheaper. If they liked their doctor and their plan, there wasn't going to be any change. And now all of a sudden they can't afford it. They're being canceled. And this was not anything they expected because they were lied to. One such man is Richard Weinstein, lives near Philadelphia. He was on our affiliate today, WPHT. And he says that he's got even more audio and video that will probably make... He's not a reporter. He's just a guy. It's all there for journalists, but they're not interested. There's not a single drive-by journalist interested in this. They are just flat out ignoring it because to them, when you get down to brass tacks, it isn't news. Because it isn't any different than what they've been doing on every other Obama issue. The entire 6 years of this regime has been one lie after another, with the media promulgating it, promoting it, amplifying it, or covering for it. From the stimulus to all the supposed job summits, you name it, everything has been an inordinate, in-our-face lie, with the drive-by media doing everything they can to promote the lies, or to cover them up, or to ignore them, whatever is called for on any given occasion. Let's go to the audio sound bites. New Gruber video has emerged calling the American voters stupid again. This was in St. Louis at Washington University, October 4th, 2013. Is about 3 weeks before the video that we heard on Sunday, which was at an University of Pennsylvania conference. I think it was October 23rd or 27th of 2013. This October 4th at the Washington University, St. Louis, Jonathan Gruber speaking about health care reform, what it is, why it's necessary, and how it works.
They said, look, what you economic nerds want to do is you want to say that for people with expensive health insurance plans, they will no longer get a 40% tax break. What if we instead just levied a 40% tax on the insurance companies that sell these terrible expensive Cadillac plans? We said, well, that's pretty much the same thing. They were posted in that tax. Because America is too stupid to understand the difference. Okay? So basically...
It's a theme. It's a running theme. It's a running theme, and it's a joke. The American people are too stupid. We had to lie to them to get it passed. And again, I think what he's actually saying is the American people may figure out what we're doing if we tell them the truth, so we have to lie. I think he's worried they're too smart, actually. When he says the American people are too stupid, what he's really saying is, they're not brilliant enough to agree with us. That's what he means by the American people. You can see this is arrogant, condescending conceit like you can't believe. It's not that you're too stupid to understand what they're doing. You're too stupid to agree with them. You don't have the brain power to be a good liberal. And so they have to lie to you. They have to be dishonest on purpose and lie to you about what's in this bill to get you to vote for it, because they know they're in the minority. They know that they're governing against the will of the people, and they know what they have to do to overcome that. They have to lie and laugh about it at the same time. Quick time out, my friends. Back with more after this.
Now, America's #1 political newsletter comes with a free gift of Russia's new golden EIB Christmas ornament. Get the Limbaugh letter with exclusive interviews, outrageous liberal stupid quotes, and Russia's keepsake ornament, all at rushlimbaugh.com. You're listening to the EIB Network.
Power Talk on AFN Radio, where left and right collide.
The U.S. Air Force Academy may be the youngest of the service academies, but it's the largest in terms of land area. Located near Colorado Springs, it spreads out over 18,000 acres. The striking modern design of the Cadet Chapel is the centerpiece of the campus, and all around